Imagine a moment of absolute stillness, a moment where the world around you fades away and you are left alone with your thoughts, your fears, and your hopes. For many, solitude is terrifying. But what if I told you that the Buddha, one of the greatest spiritual leaders in history, found their strength, their wisdom, and their enlightenment in those very moments of being alone? His story reminds us that sometimes the answers we seek can only be found within, in the silence of our own minds. So, hello and welcome to Way to Enlightenment, where we share inspiring stories which can transform your lives. Today, we delve deep into a powerful story that will inspire you to see solitude not as loneliness, but as the key to unlocking your true potential. In the heart of ancient India, in a small village surrounded by lush forests and serene rivers, there stood a modest monastery. This monastery was home to the Buddha, a teacher whose wisdom had spread far and wide, drawing seekers from distant lands. His teachings were profound, yet simple, rooted in the belief that true understanding and enlightenment come from within. One day, a powerful king arrived at the monastery accompanied by his young son. The boy, a prince, was destined to inherit the throne, but the king worried that his son lacked the strength and wisdom to lead. Bowing before the Buddha, the king requested to take his son as a disciple and teach him the way of wisdom. Buddha, with his ever-present calm, smiled and said, "Your Majesty, your son will stay here with us, and I will teach him all that he needs to know." With that, the king left, trusting the Buddha with his son's future. The young prince, used to the luxuries of palace life, struggled to adapt to the simplicity of the monastery. The food was plain, the beds hard, and the daily routines rigorous. He felt out of place among the other disciples, who seemed at peace with the humble life they led. Buddha noticed the prince's discomfort and called him aside. "Young prince," Buddha began, "to learn the ways of life, you must first let go of who you think you are. Here, you are not a prince, but a student like all others. To truly understand the world and yourself, you must learn to live simply, to humble yourself, and most importantly, to embrace solitude." The prince was puzzled but nodded in agreement. As days passed, the other disciples, having recognized the prince's royal status, began to treat him differently. They sought his favor, hoping to gain something in return for their attention. Flattered by this, the prince soon found himself surrounded by friends, enjoying the attention and special treatment. But the Buddha observed quietly, knowing that the prince still had much to learn. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden hue over the monastery, the Buddha called the prince to him. "Tonight," the Buddha said, "you will go to the hill beyond the monastery and spend the night alone. Tomorrow evening, I will take you back to your palace." The prince was excited about returning to the palace, but was curious about the night on the hill. He asked, "Why do you want me to stay there tonight?" "What will I learn?" Buddha smiled and replied, "Tonight, you will observe an eagle that visits this hill every night. Watch its every move carefully. Tomorrow, if you can tell me what you learned from the eagle, I will take you back to the palace." That night, the prince climbed the hill and found a quiet spot to observe the eagle. He saw the eagle soaring high in the sky, far above the other birds. Suddenly, the eagle swooped down, grabbed a small goat, and flew away with it in its powerful claws. The prince was amazed by the strength and grace of the eagle. The prince spent the rest of the night contemplating what he had seen. By morning, he felt a newfound understanding begin to dawn within him. When he returned to the monastery, the Buddha was waiting. "Tell me, prince," he asked, "what did you learn from your night on the hill?" The prince bowed his head to Buddha and said, "Buddha, I have seen many birds in my life, but the eagle is different from all of them. A parrot may talk a lot, but it never flies high. The eagle, on the other hand, is silent, but can soar to great heights. It focuses on its prey and doesn't get distracted by anything else. We should be like the eagle, focusing on our goals without getting distracted by small things. The eagle also flies alone, avoiding the company of lesser birds. It teaches us that we should either stay with great people or be alone. When we are alone, we understand our strengths and weaknesses better We can improve ourselves only when we know who we truly are. Buddha nodded and said, "You have learned well. The eagle teaches us many things. It faces the storm head-on and flies above the clouds, waiting for the storm to pass. Like the eagle, we should face our challenges and not run away from them." The eagle also keeps its nest free of anything soft or comfortable, throwing away the soft grass. It knows that comfort makes it weak. Similarly, we should step out of our comfort zones and work hard, for it is only through effort that we grow stronger. Buddha continued, "Have you noticed how foxes hunt in packs? But the eagle always hunts alone. It doesn't rely on others to achieve its goals. In life, you must learn to rely on yourself. Don't wait for others to help you. Take charge of your life and work towards your dreams." The prince listened carefully, understanding the deeper meaning of Buddha's words. Buddha then said, "Your time here has taught you many things, but the most important lesson is the power of being alone. When you are alone, you discover who you truly are. You understand your strengths and weaknesses. You become stronger just like the eagle. If you always surround yourself with others, you'll never know your true potential. Remember, no one will always be there for you, except yourself. Be strong like the eagle, and you will succeed in life." He concluded, "The greatest lesson in life is to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. It is in solitude that we find our true selves, understanding our strengths, and overcome our weaknesses. When you learn to be alone, you become unstoppable, just like the hawk that flies high above the cloud, fearless and free. So you too must rise above the noise and discover your true path." The prince was deeply moved by the Buddha's words. He realized that the attention and flattery he had received from others had only distracted him from his true purpose. In that moment, he understood that to become a great leader, he needed to know himself first, to embrace solitude, to reflect, and to grow strong in his own right. Buddha smiled, knowing the prince had taken the first step toward true enlightenment. "Remember, my child, the greatest battles are fought within. When you conquer your own doubts and fears, you can face anything the world throws at you. Solitude is not a burden, but a gift, a chance to meet yourself and become the person you are meant to be." The prince returned to his kingdom, but he was no longer just a prince. He was a leader, wise beyond his years, ready to guide his people with strength and compassion. The story of the prince and the hawk teaches us all an invaluable lesson. In a world that constantly pulls us in different directions, the ability to be alone, to reflect, and to understand ourselves is a rare and powerful gift. So, take time to be alone, not in loneliness, but in self-discovery. Turn off the noise, step away from the distractions, and allow yourself the space to grow. Remember, just like the hawk, your greatest strengths are revealed when you soar above the noise, alone but powerful. If this story resonated with you, give it a thumbs up, share it with someone who needs to hear this message, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that inspire and empower you. Let's all learn to harness the power of being alone and achieve greatness in our lives. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you for watching.